Good morning, friends. I'm on my couch, and today we are going to read. I took the dust jacket off. Look at this cool cover. We are going to read Ada Twist, Scientist. By Andrea Beaty, and David Roberts. Now, when authors write a book, they have a reason or a purpose for writing that book. Now, some authors write to inform, teach us something. Some write books to entertain, to make us happy. And some authors write to persuade. And we call this the author's purpose. So, mirrors on. Author's purpose is why they write a book. Mirrors off. So, as we're thinking, or as we're reading, I want you to think, what is the author's purpose? Why, I got this upside down, why did they write this book? Okay? And also, Ada Twist asks a lot of questions. So, I want you to think about, why did the author write this book? Ada Twist, Scientist, by Andrea Beaty and David Roberts. Ada Marie, said not a word till the day she turned 3. She bounced in her crib and looked all around, observing the world, but not making a sound. She learned to climb and made her big break with a trail of chaos left in her wake. She ran through the day, chasing each sound in sight, and didn't slow down till she conked out at night. And there she is, all asleep with her brother. A little shocked that that happened. Let's look at her parents. Her parents were frazzled, but tried not to freak, as Ada grew bigger and still did not speak. Clearly, young Ada, with lots in her head, would have something to say when it ought to be said. That's just what happened when Ada turned 3. She tore through the house on a fact-finding spree and climbed up the clock just as high as she could. Her parents yelled, "Stop!" as all good parents should, or would, excuse me. Ada's chin quivered, but she did not cry. She took a deep breath and simply asked, "Why?" So the brother looks a little less freaked out, but still kind of freaked out that Ada's all the way up there. Why does it tick and why does it talk? Why don't you call it a granddaughter clock? Why are there pointy things stuck to her rose? Why are there hairs up inside of your nose? She started with why, and then what, how, and when. By bedtime, she came back to why once again. She drifted to sleep as her dazed parents smiled at the curious thoughts of their curious child, who wanted to know what the world was about. They kissed her and whispered, "They'll figure it out." Why, what, how, where, when, why? All of these questions. I'm not going to read them, but I will read the book. Her parents kept up with their high-flying kid, whose questions and chaos grew as she did. So we've seen this picture. It's on the cover. Even Miss Greer found her hands were quite full when young Ada's chaos wreaked havoc at school. But this much was clear about Miss Ada Twist. She had all the traits of a great scientist. Ada was busy that first day of spring testing the sounds that make mockingbirds sing when a horrible stench whacked her right in the nose, a pungent aroma that curled up her toes. "Zowie," said Ada, which got her thinking. What is the source of that terrible stinking? How does a nose know? There's something to smell, and does it still stink if there's no nose to tell? She rattled off questions and tapped on her chin. She started at the start, where she ought to begin. A mystery, a riddle, a puzzle, a quest. This was the moment Ada loved best. I love this artwork. Now, what do you think is causing that terrible stink? Ada did research to learn all she could of smelling and smells both stinky and good. One hypothesis is an idea, Ada thought could be true. The terrible stink came from Dad's cabbage stew. She tested and tested, but soon Ada knew it was time to come up with hypothesis 2. Then zowie! The stink stunk again, just like that, hypothesis 2. It's caused by the cat. The cat couldn't make such a stink on its own. It needed perfume and some fancy cologne. So Ada tested. The test was a flop. She started again, but her parents yelled, "Stop!" Man, she's trying lots of things, but that poor kitty. Ada Marie, to the thinking chair now, by the time we count 3. Enough, said her mother. That's it, said her dad. Her parents were frustrated, frazzled, and mad. Why? Ada questioned. Her mother said no. What? Ada queried. Her father said go. You've ruined our supper. You've made the cat stink. Enough with your questions. Now sit there and think. She looked at her parents. Her heart turned to goo. Poor Ada Twist didn't know what to do. Poor cat. Poor Ada, too. She's just got an inquisitive mind. She just wants to know things. She sat all alone by herself in the hall, and Ada, once more, could say nothing at all. It's a really cool chair, though. Lucky her. And so Ada sat, and she sat, and she sat, and she thought about science and Stu and the cat, and how her experiments made such a big mess. Does it have to be so? Is that part of success? Our mess is a problem. And while she was thinking, what was the source of that terrible stinking? Ada Marie did what scientists do. She asked a small question. Then she asked 2. Each of those led her to 3 questions more, and some of those questions resulted in 4. As Ada got thinking, she really dug in. She scribbled her questions and tapped on her chin. She started at why, and then what, how, and when. At the end of the hall, she reached why once again. Uh-oh. Her parents calmed down and they came back to talk. They looked at the hallway and just had to gawk. No patch of bare paint could be seen on the wall. The thinking chair now was the great thinking hall. They watched their young daughter and sighed as they did. What would they do with this curious kid who wanted to know what the world was about? They smiled and whispered, "We'll figure it out." Look at this. I'm not sure if I wrote on stuff. I think my parents would have been very, very mad. Her parents are very understanding. And that's what they did, because that's what you do when your kid has a passion and a heart that is true. They remade their world. Now they're all in the act of helping young Ada sort fiction from fact. She asks lots of questions. How could she resist? It's all in the heart of a young scientist. Look at all those books. And as for that smell, what can Ada Twist do but learn all she can with her friends in grade 2? Well, excuse me, will they discover the stink that curls toes? Well, that's the question. And someday, who knows? Think she figured out what caused that bad smell? All right. So, what do you think? What was Andrea Beatty's, or Beaty? Beaty? What was Andrea Beaty's purpose in writing this book? Was it to persuade us that all kids should be scientists? Was it a persuading book, get us to agree with her? Was it a teaching book? Did we learn something about science, learn facts? Or is this book a book that is meant to entertain us? So I want you to think about it and let me know what you think and why. I will post a Class Dojo portfolio assignment so you